Why? Reed finally asked, a hint of panic in his voice. Why are we under what sitting and ampla who sitting? Henry's got spring fever, Riley explained, somewhat dismissively, Henry thought. What I have in mind is so much bigger than that, Henry said. I'm working to create a series of tasks that will prove our manhood and show us what we're made of. And if we play our cards right, we just might alter the course of history a time or two. And of course, impress girls and get them to notice us. What made you start thinking about things like experiences and adventures and bravery and what we're made of? Reed was chewing a fingernail and looking as if he had to go to the bathroom. Urgently. English class. What happened during 5th period? Riley asked. And what got you talking so official-like and, I don't know, epic? Henry had a way of always sounding like whatever he was currently reading or watching, and Riley racked his brains to remember whether their reading list lately had included any books about military history or Greek mythology. Remember how we read Huckleberry Finn and Treasure Island, and the book about how the kids tried to save their father from the space-time continuum thingy, and that other book about the boy who got stuck in the woods after a plane crash? I got to thinking, what would our stories be like? What would an author write about us? Let's face facts. We may be the most boring 12-year-olds on the planet. We're not boring, Henry, Reed said in a small voice. Really? Because I've been thinking about our lives lately, and perfect attendance does not count as exciting. Well, we don't just go to school. We also, well, there's... And then, of course, Reed looked to Riley for help, but Riley just shrugged. Exactly, Henry said. Nothing interesting ever happens. Luckily, I have plenty of ideas. What kind of ideas? You leave the details to me. Henry patted his legal pad confidently. Does that mean you're in charge? Like the boss or something? Reed always cared about who was in charge. He was the only boy in his family. He had 3 older sisters and 3 younger sisters, and he never got his way at home. Never. Not ever. Of course not. This is a democracy. We vote on everything. Then I vote no. I don't want to complain or worry anyone, but adventures sound dangerous, and I have a curfew. I don't have time to change history if I have to be in the house by 8 o'clock on weekdays, or whatever the new way of saying 8 o'clock is. The voting starts later, when I tell you each plan. The idea to go ahead with becoming men of action and daring masters of adventure. Well, I've already made that executive decision for all of us. Like I said, my curfew is 8 on school nights, and that's only if I've gotten my homework done. And doesn't daring usually mean painful? I don't like pain. There might be some pain, Henry allowed, but not much. Probably. Hardly any. Maybe a little, but no blood. Definitely no blood. Well, okay, maybe a smidge, but not enough to worry about. To Reed, Henry sounded as if he'd be disappointed if there weren't pain and blood. What do you think? Reed looked at Riley, who had been taking notes. Riley's mother was a reporter, and his father was a court stenographer, so Reed and Henry were used to seeing Riley quietly scribbling in a notebook, not only in class, but during routine conversations. Riley's attention to detail had resolved more than a few arguments over the years when they went back and consulted his jottings. He wasn't a big talker like Henry, and he wasn't a nervous babbler like Reed. He took notes. I want to see what happens, Riley said now, looking up from his notebook. I'm in. See? Even without a formal vote, majority rules, Henry said, smiling. Reed put his head between his knees and tried to breathe slowly because he'd heard that this technique made your heart stop racing and helped the swirly blobs in front of your eyes go away. The upside-down position only made his ears ring more loudly. I'm going to tweak the ideas for a few more days, Henry said to the top of Reed's head, and we'll reconvene this weekend and get started. Reconvene? Reed asked. You mean meet up? Don't worry, Reed, Riley said. I know a website where you can draw up your last will and testament. Although he was only 12, Riley had already written several drafts of his own will. He liked to be prepared.